Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Runs, Wickets, Overs, where tonight we're going to be taking a look at how to use the Play Cricket Scorer app. So there's been some exciting news in cricket this week that there may be a return to recreational cricket, and there's also some discussion on the type of way that you should score cricket. Should you be using a scorebook that other people might have touched? Should you be using a laptop that people might breathe and cough over? Or should you be using a smaller device that you can hide away and keep away from people? So I think that there could be a lot of people turning to the Play Cricket Scorer app as a temporary alternative to scoring in their normal manner. So hopefully this tutorial will give you some guidance on how to do that. So first of all, we need to consider what it is that you need to be able to score with the Play Cricket Scorer app. So you need some sort of mobile device. You need an iPad, an Android tablet, an Android phone, or a smartphone of some description. The app itself is free of charge. It will download to those devices from the usual app store, but it doesn't work with a Kindle. Kindle mainly just for reading, but we have had those questions in the past, so it does not work directly on the Kindle. You then need a Play Cricket account, which you need also for Play Cricket Scorer on the laptop. And you need to be a member of the club that you want to score for, and you need to have fixture and results administrator rights to that particular club's Play Cricket site. So the Play Cricket side of things is the same. Doesn't matter whether you've got the app or the laptop version. You still need to have those privileges to be able to download a fixture from Play Cricket to be able to score. However, you can score by setting up a match completely separately. You can set up a match from scratch, and we'll look at that tonight, and score it, but it just won't be connected to Play Cricket, so it won't be showing any results. If you want to show instant results, you want to show live scores, you will also need an internet connection, and you will need that connection to both download the fixture and upload the results, regardless of whether you're going to do it in a live situation. But you can download the fixture from home, go and score offline, and then upload the result from home or from wherever you've got Wi-Fi afterwards. So presuming you've got those items, when you open the app on your phone or your tablet, it will show you the login screen, and it's asking for a user ID and a password, and you need to type in your Play Cricket email address and password. So the email address that you use to log into Play Cricket is the one that you use here. That's the user ID. So I'm going to use a training one tonight. I'm going to use the one that you can see on the screen. And at this point, it's probably best just to watch the demonstration, because I'm going to be pulling a fixture down from Play Cricket that you won't have access to. So in a moment, when I've finished doing the little Play Cricket section, we will be starting a match from scratch, and at that point you can all follow me to see what I'm doing. So for the time being, I'm just going to log in. This screen remembers the last username and password that you used, so I just need to touch the login button that's in the middle of the screen. The select a site screen will give you a list of all the cricket clubs that you have fixture and results administrator rights with. So this training account has administrator rights with our favourite notchers and scratchers, both sites. So you may only see one club in there. If you score for one club and you have rights to that play cricket site, you'll only see one entry in here. You might have half a dozen. It depends on how many clubs you score for. And it is important to select your own site. Who are you scoring this match for today? So I'm going to score on behalf of the scratchers. So I'm going to touch the circle at the right side of the scratcher screen and then touch done at the top. The screen will briefly show you the matches section, but then asks you what competition would you like to score a match in. And the notchers and the scratchers are not set up in any league, so they always play friendlies. But you could have a series of leagues, and if your club plays in several different competitions, they would be listed on this screen. So you could choose, this is my Saturday league, this is my evening competition. So I'm just going to touch friendly, and then it will list all the up and coming matches in the left hand section. Now, the matches in the left-hand section are updated twice a day. They are updated at 11 a.m. and 1 a.m. So it may be that you can't see your fixture. If you're doing this early on a Saturday morning, maybe your fixture doesn't appear in that list. So to download more fixtures, in the top left-hand corner of the screen, next to the 3 lines, there's a circle with a down arrow in it. And if I touch that circle, it will ask me if I want to download more matches, and it will connect to the Play Cricket server, and it will refresh the list of matches on the left-hand side. So we've got 2 matches we could choose from. Scratchers and notchers were playing a game yesterday. They're also playing a game today. So I'm going to choose today's game. And if I just touch anywhere in the square that has today's match in it, it opens up a little menu which varies depending on the state of the match. But I'm going to click on Start Match. You could click on Download and it will put the game into the download. Actually, I might click on Download instead. If I touch Download, then it will put that into the middle window. And you could do this at home while you've got Wi-Fi, and then it's downloaded the match from Play Cricket. When I get to the ground and there's no Wi-Fi, then I can open matches from the downloaded section in the centre, because it's pulled the match down and all the players ready for me to select. So you need to do that if you're going to open a match to start later. So it doesn't matter, because I am online, whether I touch the match now in the matches column or the downloaded column. And I can start match, clear data, or just cancel that menu. Now, clear data will clear the scoring. So if you've started a game to practice it and you want to clear that information out, you can just clear the data. But I'm going to click on Start Match. I'm going to touch the option to start match. And it briefly shows the score sheet and then goes into team selection. And we have the 2 teams listed at the top of the page, and the team that we're working on is underlined in blue. So everything we're doing at the moment is for the scratchers, because they are underlined in blue. And you'll see underneath the blue line it says that 11 players are selected. So scratchers, as usual, select their team on Play Cricket the night before. They're very good. So therefore I have the 11 players that they selected, but it doesn't show them in the window. So I need to click on or I need to touch the item over on the right hand side that says edit team. And if I touch edit team, then it will show me all 11 players and they've selected me as the scorer. So they knew I was going to score for them. I'm listed there as well. If I want to change any of these, I can touch any of the circles on the right hand side and it will give me a menu for that particular player. And you can see that I could designate this person as captain or wicket keeper. So let's make this person wicket keeper. And you'll now see that there are 2 wicket keepers because they'd selected somebody else as wicket keeper on Play Cricket. But if I touch the circle next to H. Davis, his menu says remove wicket keeper role. So I can touch remove wicket keeper and now I'm back to having 1 captain, 1 wicket keeper and 1 scorer. The 3 lines at the very right hand side allow me to drag the players into a different order because this will be the batting order. So I'm going to take myself as scorer and drag my entry to the bottom. I'm certainly not opening the batting. And you can just drag them around by those 3 lines and change the order. If you want to take a player out to then add another one in later on, you can click on the circle and remove a player. Do I wish to remove them? Yes, I do. If I want to add more players, as you can see now at the bottom of the screen, we have the add more players option because at the top it's now telling me I've got 10 players selected. So if I touch add more players, the players that it's downloaded for me to choose are the registered league players. Now some teams or some competitions don't make you register league players, in which case this will show you a list of all the squad players, everybody who plays in Scratch's first 11. So I could choose a different player and as soon as you touch on the name or the plus sign, it adds it into the selection. So it tells me at the top I've just added F. Jones and that makes 11 players selected. If I touch on the training notches team at the top, you will see that it says 0 players selected. So I will need to add players, preferably in batting order, although it doesn't matter. And at the top you can just see that it's telling me all the time how many players I've got selected. So I've just added 11 players. I won't have designated anybody as captain or wicket keeper, so I would have to go into edit team to do that. I do need to do it. Okay, wicket keeper and captain. Now next to the edit team button you'll see a button that says scorers. So if I touch that button, it gives me a list of all the scorers and the umpires who are associated with this team, but it doesn't tell me which are which. So I have to know that myself and Heather, who are listed here, are designated as scorers and James and Ian are umpires. But if I choose somebody, if I say, okay, Ian's going to score, when I go into the edit team, it's added Ian, if you look at the bottom of the screen, as a scorer. So even though it lists umpires, it doesn't allow you to designate them as an umpire. So if I touch the scorer button, all I can do is remove scorer. I can't designate that person to be an umpire. So you can't add umpires in this app. I am going to remove him as a scorer. You need to toggle back between the two. So at the top it says players now. So if I want to go back to editing players, I need to touch the players button. I've added 11 players. I'm not going to worry about the notcher scorer. Maybe you're scoring on your own today. And I'm going to touch next at the top. It's taking me into match setup, but it's also giving me the option to save and exit. If I save and exit, then it puts the match back into my downloaded area, and I can continue scoring. You'll see in very light type underneath the location of Village Green that it says continue scoring. So I could download the game at home, add the team I think are going to play, and get it set up as much as I can, save it and exit, and then continue and go back into it once I'm at the ground. One thing I will just look at by continuing scoring if I want to add more players, so if I go back to the notches side and I say add more players, at the bottom of the list it says new custom player, and I could add a player who isn't in the squad. Try not to do that, certainly in a play cricket match, because if you do, when you upload the result to play cricket, that player will appear in red text, and the club will have to sort out who that player is and whether they're league registered and such like. But there are times when you do have to add a player, and it does allow you to do that. But I'm going to cancel that. If I touch the scorers button first, unfortunately you'll see that I cannot add a new scorer. So scorers, I think, getting a slightly bad deal from the app, because we can't just say, well, I'm scoring today, I've never scored for this club before, but I'm going to add my name in and become a scorer for this club. You'd have to do that through the Play Cricket site. So once again, I'm just saving and exiting that. Because rather than use this one to score, which you can't follow, we're going to have a quick go at creating a custom match, which you will be able to follow along and score with me if you want to. So there's 3 little lines at the top left of the screen. If I touch that option, actually before I do that, look at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. It says new custom match, which will allow me into the new match scenario. But I'm going to log out because some of you will be back at the original screen. If you are at the select a site screen, click on cancel. So if you can see a list of Play Cricket sites, press the cancel button up at the top left and you'll be back to this screen. And on this screen, we need to touch the option at the bottom that says Other Matches. Just before I do that, there's a button at the right-hand side of there, which is a tutorial, which is very good. It walks you through the basics of scoring with the app and won't move on until you've touched the bits that they're talking about, to add a new player and things like that. So it is actually very interactive and quite good. But we're going to go with Other Matches, and we could go straight into our downloaded match. We could use the bottom option, which is the demo match. And if you just want to practice with this app, then the demo match is really good. It's all set up for you. It will give you 2 teams who are Worcestershire Rapids and the Essex Eagles, and it's set up with 22 players to mimic the 2019 Vitality Blast T20 final. So those 2 teams played in the final, and you'll have the 11 players on each side that played in that match. But the benefit is you won't have to do any setup, you won't have to create teams or players, you can just touch demo match and start scoring. But we're going to have a look at custom matches. So I'm going to touch custom match, and then I still have to touch the button which is now bottom left that says new custom match. And I'm offered new match and new match pairs. Now, some of you were online with me last week, and for those people, we covered scoring pairs on paper. So we could choose the pairs option and set up all the regulations for a pairs game. But I want to work today with a standard game before we consider pairs in the app, because it's good to know how to score with it before we then work out all those odd regulations that go with the pairs game. But if you want to know about that and you weren't with us last week, then it would be really good to look at that session on the YouTube site first and then have a look at this one. So tonight we're going to touch new match. Now, you have a very small database, local database, on your device. So it may be on your phone, it may be on your tablet, but it doesn't remember very much information because it is a very small database. You wouldn't want a database on your phone to grow with lots of data in it, not like you would on a laptop. And unfortunately, it doesn't remember any team names. So every new match that you create that isn't downloaded from Play Cricket, you must type in the team names. So even though I've scored games for notches and scratchers, if I were doing a notches and scratchers match that wasn't in Play Cricket, I would need to type the names in now. So let's score the game that should be going on, but unfortunately is not because of the weather. So I'm going to create the teams England and West Indies. Feel free to give your two teams any names that you want. And then I'm going to touch next at the top. It gives me teams with no players selected. You'll see England is selected at the top because I named those first, so they're playing at home. And it says 0 players selected. Now, one thing that does get stored in your database are the players. So the players that you see listed, the top 3 of whom haven't played for quite some time, I have typed in on this iPad before. But the others you will need to type in yourself. So I'm just going to add some players. I'm going to press New Custom Player, and I'm going to add some of the players from today. And because it's only going into my local database, it's not going very far. I'm not going to bother typing in the full names and initials. You could put just RB. I will put their initial and their surname. And when you do a new custom player, it not only creates the player, it adds them into your playing list. So I need to keep doing this. I'm only going to put 5 people in there just to save time. So I've added R. Burns, D. Sibley. Let's have Joe Denley next. Rory Burns. Oh, Dominic Sibley. Joe Denley. We need a captain and a wicket keeper. Ben Stokes. And Joss Butler. 2 T's in Butler. So I can now edit the team and nominate Stokes as captain and Butler as wicketkeeper. You can see that the name fields are open. Once I've done edit team, that I could go in if I'd misspelt something and edit one of the players' names. So we need to add some players for the West Indies as well. So I'm going to do similar, new custom player, and I'm going to add K. Roach, Shannon Gabriel, oops. Let's have S. Hope, because that's a nice short name to type in. Let's have Jason Holder as the captain. And let's have a wicket keeper. Let's have Dowrich. Done. So I'm going to edit the team and nominate the captain and the wicket keeper. And then I'm going to touch next. Now you could do this for any teams at all, so you don't have to worry that the game's not in play cricket. Just turn up to any game and create it from scratch as I'm doing. When I touch next, it's warning me that I haven't selected 8 players aside, 11 players aside, but that's fine, I will continue. So what it takes me into now is the match settings, the match setup. So I have 2 sets of settings. The top ones are for how I like to score. The app settings are for my preferences. And the bottom settings are for the match regulations. So I'm not going to look at all these settings. You can go through and look at most of them yourself, but I will pick out 3 of the app settings. The top one, the in-app help, if it's turned on, and to turn these items on you literally slide the slider left and right, you can see that when I turn it on, a yellow circle appears in the bottom right hand corner, which will give me help as I'm going through. If you're new to using the app, it means that it will take you straight into the help system if you don't know what to do with something. But I find that that yellow circle gets in the way while I'm scoring, especially on a small device like a phone. If you click on confirm balls, then you will have to say yes that you want to enter every delivery. It will say, do you want to record this delivery? And you'll have to touch on yes. I don't like that because it's extra movement on the screen, so mine is turned off. If you turn it off, the thing that completes the entry is the number. So in a moment when we start scoring and you do extras, you would need to do what type of extra first and the number as the last item. And the last one that I want to look at in the app settings is wagon wheels. They're turned on by default. I'm going to turn them off. We will turn them on later on, but I want to start scoring with them off. If now I scroll down the screen to the match settings, you will see that these are the type of things that you would look at in match regulations. So how many overs is this match being played? If this was a match from play cricket, then most of these settings would have come through from the play cricket competition. So it would know how many overs and the limit on the bowlers. But because this is a custom match, we have to set it up. And unfortunately, match types are not saved in the app. So you'd have to do it every time with a custom match. So I'm just going to say that it is a 20 over game, that there is no super over, but I'm going to go to a limit of 4 per bowler. So I'm setting up a typical T20. We've got balls per over as 6, that's normal. The value of a wide is 1. Excuse me. In both normal scoring and the final over, and the same for a no ball. You have options as to whether or not you want no balls and wides re-bowled, mainly for junior cricket. So you could turn those off until the final over for junior cricket. If we scroll down further to the bottom, you can set limits on how many balls a person faces, and again these are for special match regulations, not our average games. We've got last man standing, and at the very bottom we have multiple dismissals. And multiple dismissals affect the pairs game. So even though we didn't say this was a pairs game, if I slide the slider for multiple dismissals, it opens up the bottom section where we could say that if this were a pairs game, then we could start with 200 runs and lose certain amount of runs per wicket, or maybe if I press the plus sign that I want to add runs per wicket to the opposition rather than lose them, and therefore start at 0. So you can see that there are lots of options for all kinds of cricket in this particular app. I'm going to slide the slider for multiple dismissals back off again because we want to score a relatively normal game. So all I've done is say it's 20 overs, maximum of 4 per bowler. And I'm moving on then by touching the match setup at the top. So now I'm straight into the toss, and you have to you can see the options there. Who won the toss? Today I'm going with the West Indies, who won the toss and elected to bowl. And touch done. And the screen will ask me if I want to start scoring ball by ball or manually. And it's a strange question because manually is ball by ball in a lot of people's language. But score manually just means put in the totals, whereas score ball by ball is normal scoring. Now the app is designed for recreational cricket where maybe a team doesn't have a scorer every week, and then if the players are having to score it themselves, it may be that nobody scored for your team while they were fielding, but they want to score the game while they are batting. So you can say, I'm going to score manually the first innings, just put the total in, which then allows you to score the second innings. So that's what we'll do today. So the first thing I'm going to touch is score manually. And it brings up the scorecard for the first innings. And any of those boxes that are open on the screen, the square boxes with zeros in, you can fill with information. And you can do that as little or as much as you like. So you could just use that top line and say, runs, wickets, overs. This is how many were scored off how many overs. But if you want to, you can complete the entire scorecard for each batsman, and if you scroll down, the bowlers too. We'll put a little bit of information in just to get a feel for how it's done. So on the top line, I'm going to touch in the overs box and type 20. So they had the full 20 overs. If I touch in the runs box, it opens up another pop-up box in which I could put runs and penalty runs. So I'm just going to type 145 in there. No penalty runs. Press done to clear that box, and then say in the wickets box that 9 wickets fell. You will see then I've got the batting section below, and I have a button to the top right of that saying batting order. So I could touch that button, and this is the order that I entered the players in, but I can move them around using those 3 lines. So if Ben Stokes opened the batting, I just use those 3 lines to drag that name to the top and then touch done. So I can add the runs and the balls and the 4s and the 6s, as you can see in the main screen, but over on the left hand side there is a circle, and if I touch the circle, this allows me to put in dismissal details. So if I touch edit dismissal, I can then enter how this person was out. So if I then say they were bowled, and then click there's an edit and a left arrow sign that will take me back out of there. Actually, if I go back into there and in the dismissal type and choose caught, you will see that it will open up the fielder buttons further down. So I can then select a fielder from the list. So let's have caught behind. So I've selected the wicket keeper. And the very bottom line of there is the fall of wicket. So if I say that there was 1 run on the board when this wicket fell, then you can see that it's filled the information out under Stokes's name. I didn't actually put a bowler in there, so I'm going to go back in, edit dismissal. The bowler was underneath dismissal type, so I am going to select Roach as the bowler. And then done. Oops. So now I've got the full wicket information, and we can put in some runs. Let's say 4 runs. I'm not sure what I put the fall of wicket as now. Did I put the fall of wicket as 1? So we'll have 1 run off 1 ball, therefore no 4s and 6s, and 2 minutes. You could go down and do that for all the batsmen, but we've just done that as an example to show you the principle. You've got the extras button towards the bottom. If you touch that, it will open up the extras, so you could put in the team extras, making it up as I go along. And if I scroll down the screen, we have a similar function for the bowlers, where we can change the bowling order so that they appear in the order that they actually bowled. Not responding to that, okay. If I scroll down and look to find Roach, you will see that it's brought the 1 wicket through. I can also add, by touching the circle to the left of the name, I can click on extras and add in how many wides and no balls that this person bowled. But I could put some overs in here, 2 overs, no maidens, 6 runs, and it says 1 wicket because it's brought that through from the batting section, but I can overwrite that if I want to. It doesn't tie it up with both sections. It tries to bring things through but doesn't always tie it up. I need to scroll back to the top of the screen to see the close innings button, because I don't want to end the match, which is at the bottom. So I'm going to touch close innings, and it'll ask me, am I sure? And I'm going to touch OK. And then it gives me the start next innings button. So if I press start next innings, this time I am going to score properly, ball by ball. So when we score ball by ball, we have to set our opening information. So we have to do this one at a time. This always fools me. I try and select the 2 opening batsmen, but it's only 1. So who is going to take first ball? Who's going to be on strike? I'm going to choose Hope, then touch next. And the non-striker I'm going to have as Holder and next. And then the opening bowler I'm going to have as Sibley and touch done. This takes me into the normal scoring screen. Now on an iPad, it's given, or a tablet, it's giving me a big screen with lots of information on. If you're on a phone, then you will see a different set of information. So you will, that's not quite true. You will see most of the same information. It's just not laid out the same. So you have to go and find it. So for instance, the ball by ball section is hidden under a separate tab. But you will see some of the buttons might say different information. So at the bottom of my screen, there's a button that says match actions, and on a phone that will just say actions. So bear with me if you're on a phone following this. You might need to just look around the screen and see where you have this information. At the bottom of the screen, we have a fairly clear scoring panel. And it's fairly obvious that if you want a dot ball, you touch the dot. If you want a 1, 2, 3, 4 runs, you touch those circles. And it is as simple as that. You touch those buttons and it adds them in. So we'll score the first ball as a dot. Just touch the dot and it will update everything on the screen. So it now says that Hope, who's highlighted in blue as the striker, has got 0 off 1. If you're on a tablet, you will see the ball by ball section as well on the right hand side, now showing 0.1 and the delivery. If you're on a phone, then you will have that tab alongside where it says first innings. So you'll need to touch the ball by ball tab to see the ball by ball screen separately. If you want to record an all run 4 or 6, you have to hold down a button. So hold down the 4 and it's asking if that 4 is all run or not. And I would have needed to slide my finger onto the all run one fairly quickly. But I've got an undo button. It's that blue button at the end of that row. So I can undo and hold down the 4 and then very quickly say that it's all run. Don't know whether that still took it or not. The 6 can be all run as well. So I'm going to score a single. So we've got .41 at the moment. Now this time I want to record 7 runs because they ran 3 and then there were 4 overthrows. So to do this we're going to use the 5+ button, but unlike the 4s and 6s for all run, we don't hold it down. So just touch the 5+ button and it will open up a window that has a 5 and a minus and a plus, and you literally just touch the minus and the plus up and down to add as many runs as you want. So I'm going to get mine to 7, and you can see in here that in the bottom section of the screen, if there were penalty runs, this is where you would add them. We did do penalty runs in a different runs, wickets, over session, so I'm not going to go through those today. If you want to know how those are recorded in the app, then do please look back at our previous session on penalty runs. So I'm just going to get my screen to say 7 and then touch done. I'm then going to record a 6 and a dot. And so it's asking me now if I want to end the over. If it was a 7-ball over, then I could say continue this over, but it is a genuine end of over, and in the over summary it stays on the screen until I touch end over so that we can do an end of over check with our colleagues. So after 1 over, the score is 18 without loss, and you can just see the summary at the top, .4176 . And that's more for the people who are on a phone who can't see the ball by ball window. So I'm going to touch end over and it will offer me the list of bowlers again for the second over. So let's have Ben Stokes bowling the second over and touch done. Now before we move on to more scoring, you can see that it's now highlighted Jason Holder as the batsman on strike. He's the one in blue. And on my display, I've got both bowlers, Stokes and Sibley, and Stokes is in blue because he's the current bowler. If you're on a phone, I think it only shows you one bowler. You won't be able to see the other one. They alternate between them. With the ball by ball window, there is a pencil at the left hand side, sorry, the right hand side. So if you're on a phone, do please touch the ball by ball tab so that you can see the pencil sign. So if you want to edit any particular delivery, then if you touch the pencil next to that delivery, so for instance, if I touch the delivery 0.3, if I touch the pencil sign, I'm editing that one delivery. And it said I can change anything. So it says who's on strike, who was the bowler, what happened to the runs. So let's say that I got it completely wrong and they ran 2. If I just do the plus to the side of the runs, it will change it to 2. At the bottom, I can change the ball number, which will just change the sequence. It will move this delivery to wherever I've placed it. I can add a wicket, I can delete the ball. So I'm leaving it as 2, but on delivery number 3, and pressing done. and it's offering me some autocorrect information, because by changing from 1 to 2 runs, it means that the person on strike will have changed from thereafter. So do I want to only do it for this over? Do I want to do it at all? Or do I want to do it for the entire innings? Well, the entire innings is only this over, but I'm going to touch entire innings. If there were wickets within that autocorrect space, then it would ask me to confirm who was out on each wicket. It wouldn't just change them over. It would come up and say, your autocorrect means this person is out, is that okay? At the very top of the over, in the ball by ball window, there is a pencil. There's also a plus sign. If I touch the plus sign, it will allow me to insert a ball, and it will fill out some of the information. So it's assuming I want to insert the ball at the end of the over, and therefore it's filled it out with who the bowler was and who the striker was, and no runs. So it's effectively putting a dot ball on ball number 7. If I'd missed a ball out earlier in the over, then I could just change the ball number at the bottom to insert it in the correct place. Okay, I'm not going to insert a ball. But if I had the bowler wrong, I could click the pencil sign at the top of the over, so next to the plus sign, and it's just allowing me to change the bowler for the entire over. So if I touch the bowler's name and let's choose Denley instead of Sibley, and then I'm going to press the edit over and done. It's changed my bowler to Denley for the entire over. If I wanted to change the bowler for part of an over, I would need to do it in the individual balls. So if I want to change Denley from ball 4 onwards, then I would need to change that back to Sibley for each delivery. Unfortunately, it's not going to do an autocorrect. So I would have to change each delivery in the over separately. So if I want to make a bigger change, maybe there's a discrepancy between you and the other scorer, which in 1 over I hope wouldn't happen, but it's a possibility. If you click on the 3 little dots at the very top right corner, the ellipsis at the top right corner, there is an option to view and edit the scorecard. And this is like manual scoring, because I can amend absolutely everything. Now, I did notice that there was some chat going on about he must have faced 2 balls, I think Mike said. This app does not reconcile anything. You can put any scoring in here and it will accept it. So in this edit window, I could just change the total. Where it says 19 runs off 1 over, if I just change that to 18, it will accept it. The fact that my scoring adds up to 19 is irrelevant, which as a scorer, training other scorers to balance and check the entire score sheet goes against the grain. I don't like it, but I appreciate that this app is aimed really for clubs who don't have regular scorers, and you might have 2 or 3 people scoring the same match by passing the game between themselves like they would pass a scorebook, and that mistakes creep in and you don't know where they are. So I can understand why it's there. I would just say use it with caution. As trained scorers, I'm not happy that you can just change anything, but I see the need for it on occasions. So I have changed that. Actually, I'm going to cancel so it doesn't do it. But I could have clicked on OK to save it. So back to our scoring window, and we have a bottom row with all the extras on it. They're fairly easy. So you just touch, if you want to buy, you just touch buys, or if you want leg buys, once you touch an extra, it removes some of the extras on the bottom line. So I now can't choose leg buy, but I've got a cross and a tick at the top where it says buy. So if I touch the cross, I could then choose leg buy. So let's record this as one leg buy. So we can see we've still got the numbers open. So if it were 2 leg buys, we would just touch the 2 or the 3 or however many it is. For 1 leg buy, I don't need to touch the 1. If I don't put a number in, it will put 1 in. So you can either touch 1 or just touch that tick at the top and it will record 1 leg buy. The wide, the very first time you put in either a wide or a no ball, you just get this box pop up that says no balls are worth 1 and wides, do you want to continue? That's just in case you didn't check them in the match setup. We won't get that again, it only appears once. So 1 for a no ball, 1 for a wide is correct, so I'm going to press continue scoring. Now you'll see that there's not much else I can add off a wide. You can't have buys and leg buys off a wide. So it's removed all those. I could have a wicket off a wide because if there's a stumping off a wide, I would need to press the red wicket button. But we'll stay fairly straightforward for the time being. But we do need to add, or we may need to add some additional runs. Now wides and no balls are recorded in a slightly different way in this app, which I find a little confusing, but that's just the way it is. So with the wides, you need to put in the total value of the wides. So if it's wide and they run 1, you need to press 2, because that's going to be 2 wides. If it's wide and they don't run, it's 1, so you either press the 1 or you press the tick. So let's have a wide where it goes over the boundary, everybody misses it, wicket-keeper and all, and it goes over the boundary and the umpire signals 4, that's 5 wides. So I need to touch the 5 and done, and then a tick. So that's okay, if that's the way it is, you sort of get used to that. But now let's try to do a no ball, and with the no ball, you only add the additional runs, and I just find that inconsistent. So, but I suppose as long as you know that that's what it does, then that's what you need to do. So for instance, if there was a no ball bowled that everybody missed, so the umpire signals no ball, buys 4, okay, it's not 5 no balls, it's 4 buys off a no ball. And we still have buys and leg buys available to us with the no balls. So we would then need to press buys and then need to press 4. So our title at the top is saying a no ball plus 4 buys, which is correct. So I sort of see the logic of it. So then I'm going to press the tick. And that's added 5 runs to the total again. So you just need to be aware, with wides you're putting in the total value, with no balls you're putting in the value of additional runs. Moving along that row, I'm going to come back to wickets in a moment. You can see that we've got an end over button. So if the umpires have miscounted or we'd missed a no ball or something, we could end the over early. By pressing end over. But also I want to have a very quick look at match actions. So if I touch match actions, you could see that I could close the innings. So if a team declared or it got rained off or whatever reason you needed to end that innings, you've got a close innings button. You've got split innings for some very rare games where you get a team that will bat. So you'll get 2 games going on at the same time and you'll get 1 innings played and then you'll get the innings of another team or another match played. That would be a split innings. You can add an interval or a break and then it will give you the list. Ending the match. I don't want to do that at the moment. Duckworth-Lewis takes you through to the Duckworth-Lewis screen. I'm not going to look at that tonight because we did a whole session on that earlier in the... actually it was last month, I think. So do please look back at the Runs, Wickets, Overs channel to find that particular session. Come back out of there. Score manually. So you can convert from ball by ball scoring to manual scoring partway through an innings. You cannot revert the other way around. If you score manually, you score manually for the whole of an innings, but maybe your number 11 batsman was scoring for most of the innings. He's now got to go out to bat and nobody will take over the scorebook. So at the end, you just click on score manually and finish off by putting the totals in. I'm not going to do any of those. Up at the top right hand corner with our ellipsis, our 3 dots, we looked at view and edit scorecard. If we touch match settings, it takes us back to our original screen where we can change whatever we set. And in there, I turned anyway, wagon wheels off. If I just slide the slider to turn them back on, then if I now score another value, so I'm going to score 1 run, the wagon wheel window will open up and I will need to score the wagon wheel. So the wagon wheel is static. You cannot rotate it to match the view that you're looking at. So you just touch somewhere on the wagon wheel as to where that 1 run went. And you've got a fielding circle there to guide you. So I'm just going to touch where it is and press done. So then it's recorded the 1 run and the wagon wheel entry. You only get a wagon wheel entry if runs are scored. So I just touched a dot, didn't bring the wagon wheel up. If I touch a bye and say there were 2 byes and press the tick, it doesn't bring the wagon wheel up. Let's do 2 runs, up comes the wagon wheel. So you only get the wagon wheel appearing for runs. Let's get through to the end of the over. I'm just going to put a dot in and then the over. It will automatically select the previous bowler from that end for me, so I just need to touch done. But if I got it wrong and they're now having a change of bowler, if I touch the 3 dots next to that bowler's name, then I can change that bowler. So up comes the change bowler menu and I can choose a different bowler. You have the 3 dots next to the batsman's name as well. If I want to just change the striker, so for some reason I've got the wrong person on strike and I can't work out why, if I just want to change them over, if I touch the 3 dots next to the other batsman, then the top option is to change strike. And that just puts the blue highlight on the other batsman and allows me to carry on. No questions as to why, no underlining, no nice information, just a straightforward switch. If I touch the 3 dots in the opening batsman of Hope, on there we have change batter. Now if I'd selected the wrong batsman from the start, and this never was Hope who was batting, then I can touch change batter and select the correct batsman. And when I touch done, it asks me why I'm changing the batter. Am I retiring the batsman? So a retirement not out. Am I retiring the batsman out? Now, once again, a bit of scoring terminology that's incorrect because I can't retire the batsman out. On the menu, they only have retiring hurt, which doesn't exist in the laws of cricket. So if you are retiring a batsman out for any reason, you can only select retire hurt. Or in our case, or in my case, I just made a mistake. I was given the wrong name and I want to change that batsman over. This Hope did not bat at all. It was Roach from the start. So I'm just going to touch changing due to error. Now, one thing that we haven't done yet is to record a wicket. They're fairly straightforward. You've got the big red wicket button at the bottom there. So if I touch wicket, you get a pop-up box asking you for all the dismissal details. So which batsman is out? If it was a run out and it was the non-striker, I could switch them over. But I will do that. So I'm going to choose Roach and touch done. And when I do that, when I touch dismissal type, you will see that there are only 3 items: run out, obstructing the field or obstruction, and retired. If I had left the striker in there, if I cancel that and go back to the striker, then you will see that I have a whole selection of all the dismissal types. I'm still going to select run out and done. I've got 2 fielders that I can choose from, a fielder and an assistant fielder. So if I put the wicket keeper in as the person who gets the credit as the fielder, but say that the ball was thrown in by Burns, did they cross as the bottom option? So let's have them cross in, just slide the slider. But when I press done, it doesn't record it. It sits on the screen with the tick and the cross like the extras, which means that I could add runs. So in a run out, if they were run out going for the second run, then I could put a 1 in there to say that they get the first run. And the wicket gets recorded when I press the tick. Now there is no edit button. If you've filled out wrong information, all you can do is press the cross and record the wicket again. But I can tick. I have the wagon wheel on, so I've got to say where that 1 run went. Done. You can go back in. If I go in on the ball by ball screen, then I have all the normal dismissal type in there and the fielders' names, and I can edit everything in there. Strangely, it didn't choose a batsman. Normally it asks for an incoming batsman. That's very odd. But I press on the 3 dots and I will select a batsman. Now, we haven't got time tonight to record the rest of the 20 overs. So what I'm going to show you is how to end the game. So if you touch match actions, we can choose close innings. So let's say that, well, we know that they're not all out. We know they haven't declared. So let's just go for compulsory close, which covers everything else. It's rained off. I don't know. There could be a multitude of reasons, but I'm just going to tick compulsory close and press done. This takes me into a match status screen where I could end the match, although it's not allowing me to at the moment. So if I click done, it then says the first innings for both teams has concluded. Do I wish to end the match? Yes. But it didn't ask me at the start whether this was a 1 innings or 2 innings game. It asked me how many overs it were. So it doesn't know that the game has ended. So I need to go into match actions now and end the match. Say, yes, I do wish to end the match. Once you end the match, it wants you to double check the information. So it will sit on this screen, which was the edit screen, the edit scorecard screen, which would allow you to change absolutely anything. I'm not going to, but we could change things if we wanted to. Now you do have to be a little bit wary, because once you've been through this screen, then it will upload the game to play cricket. And once it's uploaded the game to play cricket, it won't upload this one because this was a custom match. But if the game had come from play cricket, it would upload the result with all the details to play cricket, and then you would only be able to edit the result or any of the details in play cricket. So I'm going to click on the end match at the bottom, and I've got 2 options: save and exit and finalize result. So if I want to finalise the result at home, I could save and exit, in which case it puts this match into my custom match list, where you can see underneath where it says cricket. I'm not sure why it says cricket. I've got review and edit. If I touch review and edit, we have two options. If I were to clear the data, the whole match would be lost. Because this was a local game, it was a custom game, and it would just wipe it without asking me if I'm sure. It would just wipe it from my database. So make sure that you don't slip your finger and you touch review and edit. So I could then go in with my match actions and end the match again. Am I sure I want to end the match? Yes. I don't want to check it. I've done that already. I do really want to end the match. This time I'm going to finalise the result. Now, the results that you get are not always the ones that you're expecting. You can say the match was drawn, the match was abandoned, or that one of the teams won. But you see it says won on first innings because we've only had one innings played. Well, it is only one innings because it was a T20, it was a one innings game. So therefore I'd have to select that England won first innings in a one-day game and touch done. So now it's put the match in my custom matches, and underneath all the information, instead of saying view and edit, it says view and share. So if I touch view and share, I've also got remove from device, which will again just wipe everything off my device. Or I can view and share, which will open up the match, and in the top right hand corner the ellipsis now will just allow me to export a scorecard as a PDF file, which I could email to people, or I can share it by sharing a link. So if I choose share and message, then it's sending a message, or I could have chosen to email it, and it is embedding the results in a website called resultsvault.com. Which would allow other people. So it's not sending the scorecard via a message, it's sending a link to the scorecard via the messaging system. So custom match is great because you can just turn up, you can type the names in, you can score absolutely any game. But just be aware that they reside on your device only, so be careful not to wipe them off accidentally. And that really is the basics of how to score. Doesn't matter whether you're scoring the demo match, a custom match, whether you choose custom pairs, or whether you downloaded from Play Cricket. Those are the basics of how to score. Have we had any questions, Luke, in the chat window?
I think you've answered everything that was asked as you went along. The one thing I will check, there was a question about app updates, which I answered in the chat as being that's however your device normally deals with it, through the App Store usually. Just double checking, there isn't anywhere in the app that'll tell you when an update is ready.
No, you are quite right that it's just the app will update automatically if there's an update for it in the App Store. So you're right, however your device is set, whether they take them automatically or whether you have to go to the App Store to download it. And I will say that there is an update for this due out in about a week's time. I was informed of that this morning. I'm relieved to know that it wasn't coming out today, but I asked what was in it, what were the main changes in it, and it's being updated to allow you to score countdown cricket, which would be a form of the 100, which unfortunately those match types are not starting this year, but they were ready to go. They'd got all the updates ready, so it is going to roll out within a week, I think.
You didn't directly answer this question, but you sort of answered it. There was a question about whether you can you can score the first innings ball by ball and the second innings manually. You just do that the same way as if you wanted to do some of the overs manually.
Yes, whenever you start an innings, the menu will pop up to say, do you want to score it ball by ball or manually? And you choose. So yes, if your players are doing it and they score the innings themselves when they're batting, then to put the second innings in, if they fielded second, you would just say, right, I'm going to do this one manually. At the end, just put the totals in, and you can switch over at any time from ball by ball to manual scoring to complete an innings if you need to for any reason. One thing that I haven't shown you tonight, because this was a getting started session really, is that you can pass this game from device to device. So where we had the save and exit, it doesn't, if you are on Wi-Fi and you have a play cricket match, not a custom match, then when you save and exit, it pushes the match back to the server, which means that somebody else can download the match on their phone. So you don't have to hand your phone or your iPad to somebody else. You push the match back to the server and somebody else could pull the game down from the server and score it on their device. The only warning that I will give you about sort of changing over scorers is those of you who are used to scoring on the laptop will be used to selecting who is the live scorer, because only one scorer can be updating play cricket and pushing out live scores. The other scorer is scoring alongside, they're scoring the same game, but they're not the live scorer. But with the app, you don't get to choose. It is the first person who clicks on start match. So when we pulled the match down, you can download and pull the game into your downloads. Anybody could do that. But whoever touches the match and then says start scoring, the first one of those is the live scorer. And the next person, if it's a play cricket match and you're online, the option would say, would you like to continue scoring as a local scorer? It might not be termed local scorer, but that's the gist of it. So yeah, make sure that if you're the home scorer, you get in first, or you play nicely with each other and you say, oh, have you started the game as home scorer? I'll wait for you.
I think I know the answer to this, but can you transfer a match in progress from a laptop to a tablet, for example, in an emergency due to a loss of power?
Unfortunately, no. I've tried to do that, where you might start a game on PCS Pro on the laptop, and as you say, you run out of power, so you pull then the game down off the server. You can't continue to score it. No, I'm sorry. It's for one game. It's an either or.
I think this was a question that aimed at somebody else in the chat, not at us.
Oh.
But it's a good point anyway. Is it possible to print off a Duckworth-Lewis sheet?
No, not from this app, because it's not. No, I'll go no. Please refer back to my whole session on the Duckworth-Lewis calculator in the PCS app.
Okay. As I say, I think that was two people having their own conversation, but I thought it was a reasonable question to bring up anyway. I think that's all the questions we've had. Excellent.
Well, thank you all very much. Hopefully there will be some new scorers who will be having a go at the app, and that will get you started with the app. So once again, thank you very much.